everybody, it's me, Corey T, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to tell when you're committed to the new story, the thing that you actually want to create, the thing that you actually want to become, the person that you want to become, and how to tell when you're actually secretly committed to the old story without realizing it, because sometimes that's what's happening. Sometimes we don't realize that even though we think we want the change and we think we want the new story, we think we want the new version of us, we're actually still very committed to the old one, often because it feels safer, it's more familiar, we know what happens there, and there's some comfort in the old story. So sometimes that's what's going on, and we're going to talk about it in more detail in this video. First of all, I want to tell you something really exciting, which is that it looks very much like we're moving to Brighton next year, early next year, and I'm just so excited. Brighton in the UK, that is. And I'm so excited because Brighton's like my favourite place. I've been all around the world, right? And I love Brighton, and it's always been calling me back for a long time. So I'm just really excited to go back to Brighton, if that's what we end up doing, which I think it is what we're going to end up doing. And when I'm back, what's really exciting is that I want to do some in-person events, which is just so cool because I'll get to meet some of you, especially, if you're in the UK. We might do some, 3-day workshops, 3-day events, or some in-person coaching. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, but I know that I'm going to meet some of you next year, and hopefully in some other places in the world too, because I really want to go to America, want to go to Australia. There's just, lots of opportunity next year, so I'm really excited. The other thing is that on Saturday, this Saturday, I've got a you versus you 2-hour workshop, which is all about distinguishing the voice of fear. So if you're texting someone and you're in a relationship with someone, or you're starting a new relationship with someone, and you've got this voice of fear saying, I don't know what to say, don't know how to act, don't know what to do, what should I say? And you're asking your friends how to text this person or how to behave, or you're worrying about how you came across, or all these things. That's the voice of fear. So we've got to shift you into your authentic self and bring up your confidence and sense of self-worth. And this is what this workshop is going to be about. Also for things like, applying for jobs, looking for jobs, changing your career, starting a new business, whatever it is, there might be some resistance there. And this resistance is often the secret face of fear, which we, again, want to be able to notice, observe, move with, and transform it into confidence and abundance and joy and happiness and great things, okay? So this workshop is going to be 2 hours. You can buy tickets in the link below. And I can't wait to see you there. It's going to be really fun. Every time I do these group things, I absolutely love it. I love meeting you guys. In many ways, there's so much more value in group environments like that. You get to meet other people, you might meet your new manifesting buddy. So I would love to see you there, love to meet you there. If you've never come along to one of these things before, highly recommend, even if I do say so myself. The other thing is, obviously, on New Year's Day, I'm going to do a really special manifesting session, which is a one-off manifesting session for you to come and manifest for the year ahead with me. And it's something that I do myself every year, and I'm going to be guiding you through the questions, the reflections, the visualizations, the practices that will help you to get really clear on the year ahead to make it the best year ever. I really feel like 2023 has a really good feeling about it. Maybe I say this every single year, but it's true. I actually do feel like 2023 is going to be a happy year full of abundance. And so I want to share with you my manifestation process, the things that have helped me manifest loads of amazing things in my life. And it'll be a really nice, beautiful time to give to yourself on New Year's Day, which is a sacred, special day, in my opinion. And it's going to be really, really fun. So committing to the new story. So as Mo Cohen would say, the stories are the things that are really creating our experience of life. The stories that we have of ourselves, the stories that we have of other people, the stories that we have of our patterns, the stories that we have of our past, the stories that we have of our family, our friends. The stories that we're living in are just the language that we are using to interpret the world around us. And that's why I suppose when we use things like affirmations, what we're doing is we're utilising language to help us, to direct us into a new story. Now, I think with affirmations that they can only be part of the puzzle, because really we have to know and we have to acknowledge when we are in the old story or the new story. And so often I have people come to me telling me that they really are sick of a pattern or a cycle. They're sick of it, they're sick of it, they're sick of it. But they might have come to me many times in coaching, and every time they come to me, they tell me the same story. And so one of the things that I'll say is, it seems like you're really committed to the old story. And they'll be like, no, I'm not. I'm really not. I don't want to be committed to the old story. And they don't realise that they are. So one of the uncomfortable questions that I will ask is, what are you getting out of this old story? What are you getting out of staying in these thoughts and repeating these conversations with me or with friends or with family or whoever you might be talking about it to, whoever you're saying, I'm so sick of this story repeating. I'm so fed up of my life being stuck. I'm so fed up of whatever it is, insert the thing that you're stuck on. I'm so sick of it still being there. But what are you getting out of that story? And often people will say, nothing, I'm not getting anything out of it. But actually, just sit with it and ask yourself again, what am I getting out of it? And often what people are getting out of the old story is the familiarity, the comfort, the knowing that if I stay here, then often it means that you avoid vulnerability. You might be avoiding connection on some level. You might be being right. It might be that you get to be right. It might be that you grew up in a environment where you were told what to do a lot. Or there was an authoritative figure who was always right and you never felt heard or seen. So if you get to stick to your old story and you get to be right about the fact that things are difficult, then at least you get to be right. So this is just one example of how people can unconsciously be getting something out of being in the old story and repeating the old story. Maybe it's a sense of helplessness that you feel, and whenever you bring this story to people, you feel like people might be helping you. Maybe part of what you're getting out of it is that when you share this story, people listen to you, so you feel seen, you feel like people are trying to help you, and maybe that's something that you didn't get when you were younger. So often there's something really unconscious happening that's keeping you in that place where you feel like, if there's some helplessness here, then maybe someone will help me, maybe someone will save me. And again, this is really personal, so I'm just throwing out some ideas, some things that I've seen in other people before, but your reason for staying in that old story will be personal and specific to you. And it might just be worth journaling on, maybe talking to someone with or about. What are you getting out of the old story? So how can you tell when you're actually committed to the old story without meaning to be? You find yourself going around in circles. You've had this conversation with yourself and other people before. You are repeating the same phrases, the same worries, the same fears, and you're saying them out loud or in your head or, to other people and friends and family and other coaches, maybe many coaches, and you've been doing this for a while now. There's some part of you that every time you do that, you're reaffirming that old story, and you don't mean to be, and it's not your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. You're not bad. I'm not going to say that, you've done something wrong by doing that, because you haven't. We've all been there. I have certainly been there, and I know what that's like. But what I'm doing in this video is bringing the awareness to you that that might be what you're doing to help you to shift into a new commitment to a new story. Because the truth is this, right? Tomorrow doesn't exist. Tomorrow, as my beautiful client, who will know who she is when she hears this, said in our Telegram group, she said after our conversation that we had the other day, that what she realised is that tomorrow is a blank canvas, and that we can paint or draw or write or let it be anything that we want it to be. We get to decide. And the thing is that the reason why, and that what I've just said is a direct quote from her, that she said in the Telegram group, after the session that I had with her, and it was so exciting to see her so inspired by the possibility. Isn't that the fun thing about creating, is that there is so much possibility. There is so much possibility. Anything could happen. We get to decide. And the reason often why we get so stuck in the old story and staying there is because our mind, its job is to protect you. Its job is to just keep you safe and out of the way of emotional or physical pain. So it's using your past experiences against you in many ways to just keep you safe. And it obviously means well. It means well. But whenever you try to change the narrative and change the story, it's going to come up with things to say, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you actually doing there? You know what happened last time. You know what happened when you opened your heart before. You know what happened when you applied for that job. You know what happened when you tried to speak to those people and you tried to be vulnerable before. You remember what happened there? It wasn't nice. So why would you do that again? I'm going to stop you. I'm going to remind you that you can't do that. And it'll give you this actual physical resistance in your body that makes it really difficult for you to move forward. The resistance is just part of the story. The resistance is just part of that old narrative where you have made a meaning out of a circumstance, and that's what we're doing all of the time. We're making a meaning out of what is happening around us, and we're deciding that usually means something about us. And so often, like with all triggers, which are really there to help you understand yourself better and help you understand what's going on the inside, the triggers are there to show you what you're believing about yourself. And that's where in that moment, we've got to be training ourselves to say, whoa, I'm triggered. Okay, what am I making this mean about me? And often it's, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, or whatever it is for you. And in that moment, like when you train a dog, you can't train a dog after they've done something that you didn't want them to do, because they won't know what you're talking about. It's the same with our brain, right? We have to train ourselves in the moments of those triggers. So we have to catch ourselves if we feel triggered by something that happened or something that someone said or didn't say or did or didn't do. We have to catch ourselves in that moment when we feel physically triggered and say, okay, I'm triggered. Take yourself off to a bathroom, somewhere private, on your own, and say, okay, I am triggered. I can feel that. What am I making this mean about me? What do I believe is actually happening here on some level? And often, like I said, it's I'm not enough, I'm not lovable. And then from there, in that moment where we see what's going on, we have to say to ourselves, am I going to really let this thing, this person, whatever it is, show me that I'm not enough? Am I going to give this person or this thing or whatever the circumstances that power? Because the truth is that you get to decide what it means. You get to change the narrative in that moment and be the creator and the architect of your mind and your life. So whenever you get triggered, see it as an opportunity to go within and change the narrative, write this new story, create a new neural pathway, and do it again and again and again and again until the new story and the new version of you feels really strong and confident. But this is a practice and it takes time. Just like we learn to think the way that we're thinking in the first place, we have to relearn and retrain ourselves to think now consciously in a new way. And the reason why it was easy before was just because it happened through experience, through life, just giving us those things. We were a victim of those circumstances, and now we don't have to be. So tomorrow hasn't happened yet. We don't know what's going to happen, and you get to be whoever you want to be tomorrow. You get to decide what meanings you're going to give things. You get to decide who you're going to embody. And that's what this is all about, being able to see the actual nothingness that exists in front of you. It's just nothing. It really is. Tomorrow, the next minute doesn't exist yet. And one of Mo's absolutely most awesome things that he taught me. So Mo, if you don't know, he comes onto the Manifestation Masters Academy as a guest speaker, and he's an incredibly brilliant mentor, coach, person, honorary grandpa that has helped us in the Manifestation Masters Academy a lot, and me in my life, especially in my master's degree and many other times. One of the things that he taught me was this technique, which is basically when something happens, something triggers you, you can say to yourself, okay, what am I making this mean? And then you realise what you're making it mean, and then you can decide in that moment that it actually means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. This means nothing. Okay, this means nothing. Because there's a moment between the thing that happens and your response to it where there is nothing. There is only this very quick automatic response, which is gathering lots of information from your past, where it decides what the meaning is about that thing that happened. But in the space between the time that something happens and the meaning that you give it, there is nothing. There is nothing. There is the opportunity for you to rewrite there and then. So when something happens and you feel triggered and you see that you've actually made a meaning before you even knew it, you can pause and rethink that and say, what do I want to make this mean? Nothing. Nothing. It doesn't have to mean anything. And then later, maybe you can reframe it and make it mean something amazing for you. Make it mean something positive. Make it mean something that makes you feel better, right? So that's some advice to help you stay in the new story. And just commit every day. Realise that whenever you are talking about the old story, you're going down the rabbit hole of the triggers and spirals and the entanglement that takes you down the rabbit hole and the spiral of doom, basically, where you feel really bad and you feel like nothing's working and it's never going to happen for you and it's taking too long and nothing ever works for you and all of these things. And before you know it, you feel really anxious, really sad, really depressed. When you've gone down there, you can get yourself back up again by creating a new meaning and realising, wow, in this moment, I'm actually really committed to the old story. I didn't mean to be, but I guess I'm getting something out of this. And then work out what it is that you're getting out of it and reframe it. Have a little chat with yourself, because that's what we've got to do. Basically got to be our best friend, the parent we didn't have, and have these new conversations with ourselves that help us feel empowered and strong so that we can do anything and be anyone and create the story tomorrow that we would like to live in, no matter what. No matter what your mind says, no matter what it throws at you, no matter what the world wants to say, no. You get to decide that these things, they don't have to mean what you've always made them mean, and you get to decide the new meaning, and that is the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. But your mind, remember, your mind is just using the past to protect you. We've got to love it. We've got to thank it for doing its best to keep you alive, to keep you safe, to keep you happy. It knows that you are a human and it knows that being a human is sometimes a scary thing. And we have experienced emotional pain in the past. Maybe there's emotional pain that we haven't yet processed or experienced fully. And it just wants to protect you. So, and there's a whole other conversation about processing emotions, which I think is so important, such an important part of the process, which obviously is something that I do with my clients in my coaching, and we can do that together. But this part about reframing, rewriting is also very, very life-changing. I could literally talk about this for hours on end because I find it so fascinating, so interesting and so liberating when you think about it, that you get to be the absolute architect of yourself and your life. I find all of this stuff to be so incredibly liberating and freeing. It's like you get to cut the cord of the old story. You get to cut the cord of you doing the thing that you used to do, thinking the way that you used to think. When you realise that actually, oh my God, I am accidentally still committed to the old story for some reason. Maybe you want to be right. Maybe you feel safe there. Because we always do what we do for a reason. There's always a good reason why we are doing it. And sometimes people will come to me and say, no, there's no reason. I don't know why I'm doing this. Even then, there's a reason why you're doing it, and you have to be compassionate towards yourself because you obviously don't know what you don't know. And that's why coaching can be really useful, because you get to discover what you don't know so that you can know it, so that you can address it. And this can also be something that happens profoundly in group coaching. In the Manifestation Masters Academy, there's been so many incredible light bulb moments. There are going to be a few new places opening up soon for the Manifestation Masters Academy, which is starting again in January for another 12 weeks. Lots of the people who have done it this time round want to stay. I want to keep the group small because that's the way that it has worked really, really well. It's been beautiful. I feel like these people feel incredibly lucky to know each other, to be part of that group, and the light bulb moments that they've had through expressing, through exploring, through talking out their stories, and other people listening and reflecting that back has helped them to really see which story they were living in and where they would like to go from there, and also connect to their authentic self. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I really could go on for ages and ages and ages about all these things. But if you'd like some more information about any of this, if you'd like some one-to-one coaching, I would recommend booking it soon, because I am going to be phasing out my one-to-one coaching soon. You'll still be able to do it from within one of my programs. It hasn't changed yet, so my coaching is still available, but the 30-minute coaching is not available anymore. So there's an hour coaching or a 45-minute, and then there's also some packages that you can get if you do buy them. And then you see on my website that they are not on sale anymore. It doesn't mean that you can't use the sessions that you've bought. You'll be able to use them, indefinitely whenever you want to. But there'll just be a slightly different way that I'm going to be running my business from next year. I'm not exactly sure which date, but at some point in the near future, things are going to be changing a bit, and it's very exciting. I can't wait to share it with you. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like any more information, then please let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.